Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So a couple things happened around here today, one of which is that the white 65 Beetle as promised is gone. This morning I put the replacement passenger side window in, which was made by Koch's with the correct logo and everything on it. Put that in, got it adjusted, put the door panel back on. Took the car on my little 8-mile circuit around the beautiful city of Orange here. Filmed a quick video while doing that. I'll post that up later. Came back, did a walk around video of the car, and actually I washed the car first. It was pretty dusty, and then did a walk around video of it. Later in the afternoon, customer came and picked it up. Super happy. Drove it home, sent me a text when he got home. He said the car runs and drives amazing, and he's happy. His wife should be very happy. So I don't remember. I think I mentioned it before, but that white 65 Beetle has been in essentially the same family since it was new. So the current owner and his wife bought it from her parents who purchased the car new. And then I think she drove it all through high school and everything. So tons of history with this car, with this family, and the current owner and her parents, and so on and so forth. So they had it restored at West Coast Classic Restoration, Lenny's shop, and he brought it in for us to do a few things. And so yeah, it went home today. So congratulations to them getting their baby back, and should run and drive great now. This is the one where the back suspension was literally like 1 3/4 too low. Not sure how that left the previous shop like that, but anyway, we adjusted that and did some other things. Looks great now. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for a walk around video of that car and for a very short driving video of it. Anyway, so I did that first thing this morning, and then I got on to this baby here and pretty much went after the front suspension. So I believe I mentioned before that the front suspension on this car, and the early cars, they do tend to be pretty stiff, but I mean, this was like crazy stiff. Like I couldn't even budge it. And so went ahead and disassembled each side and checked the link pin shims. My suspicion was that it had maybe been shimmed improperly or something, and that would cause the front suspension to bind. It was actually shimmed really well. I think I might have changed it by like one shim on this side, but one shim isn't really enough to make things bind, generally speaking. So yeah, I don't think that was the cause of the issue. So on this side, the driver's side, I didn't find anything. Again, I changed maybe like one shim as far as the inside versus outside. Not a big deal. However, on this side, what I found was that the upper link pin was basically binding in its bushing. And it was a link pin issue because I took the lower link pin and swapped it into the upper position, and it rotated fine. So yeah, I basically just took the upper link pin and ran it sort of gently on our little belt sander while, rotating it, trying to do very uniform on it, and pretty much got it to where it operated butter smooth in there, but yet didn't have any like any slop per se or whatever. Put that back together. That made it better overall, the front suspension. By the way, while I was doing both sides, I did check the shocks. They're brand new. They work great. I mean, I guess that was a possibility that one or both shocks were binding. No, they're great. They're brand new. But I did check them. So yeah, binding on this side. But then, okay, I thought, well, something else has got to be going on here. So I started looking at the sway bar, and the sway bar was just rubbing a lot, all in here and stuff. And so I went ahead and, I noticed another thing. While the sway bar was installed on there, the bushings on it were like super distorted and ancient looking. And I'm sure that they were installed new. And I thought, well, that's pretty weird that these bushings look so bad. And so, yeah, look at this one. It's like under a lot of pressure. And so I pulled the sway bar off, and I noticed that the shape of it looked a little weird. And so I went and pulled out of our stock the sway bar that came off the red buggy that left recently, which is of course a link pin car. And I noticed that, yeah, the sway bars are totally different. So on a link pin, and you have to almost like look at them side by side to tell the difference. So on a link pin sway bar, it actually, if you line them up side to side, this extends out a little bit further like that. And then from there, it sort of comes back at this angle. So it's a little fatter in here as far as like clearing the shock towers and stuff like that on the link pin one. And then also the angle of the arm back here and you know, the angle here and stuff, it's all actually fairly different. And so I think what happened was whoever put this car together unbeknowingly got a ball joint sway bar and kind of forced it to fit on there. And that's why these bushings were all, you know, under a lot of pressure. And I think that the sway bar was really just binding up the whole front end because it was under so much pressure and the angles were off and it was like rubbing on everything in here. So again, I went ahead, thanks to my customer Jim for letting us use the sway bar off his buggy, which we had to remove to put on his bumper, if you remember right. But anyway, yeah, so now, let me scoot over here. So now this is an actual link pin one, and you can see plenty of space in here, and then the angles here lie very nicely along the bottom torsion arm. So right now it's just like zip tied up there. So pro tip for you guys, when putting these on, make generous use of zip ties. I usually put one near each bushing, and then what that allows me to do is, and so on both sides, and so what that allows me to do is get the sway bar like very centered side to side, get it the right amount kind of in and out, even like orient the bushings as far as, you know, you can kind of rotate them like this some on the arm, get all that sort of dialed in. You can kind of leave these a little bit loose at first, and as you kind of go work back and forth and get things, you know, like lined up and better looking, kind of gradually tighten these until you're happy with it, and then it's actually pretty stable at that point. And then and only then go ahead and get out your big ass pliers and stuff like that and start putting on the clamps. So that way, yeah, you go ahead and you get the position all dialed in, because once the clamps are on, it's pretty hard to move one of these things. Those clamps really squeeze these tightly, and the rubber is kind of, you know, sticky. Even though we grease it and stuff, it's like nearly impossible to move this thing once the clamps are on. So do all that in advance, and again, use a couple zip ties on each side, get that all dialed in, and then start putting on clamps. So there's a pro tip for you guys. You guys probably all knew that already who work on these cars, but if not, there you go. That's a freebie. So yeah, I will be in tomorrow, Saturday, for a few hours, and I'll probably go ahead and finish installing that on there. I did look at the front brakes on the car while I was kind of pulling the front end apart, and everything actually looks good. I will probably then next go ahead and pull off the rear drums and inspect the rear brakes. Again, we don't trust anyone else's work, and you know, it's just kind of our DNA here, double checking everything, especially since this car came in as kind of a project, and it's going to leave our shop as a running, driving car. We're responsible for, you know, making sure everything's right, regardless of who worked on it before. So yeah, I will be checking the back brakes, and then I found his parts kind of in here for his e-brake lever, which is not really assembled. So yeah, next I'll probably start checking the back brakes, maybe go ahead and get the e-brake to work and stuff like that. I've ordered the hardline to actually connect the reservoir, which is installed, to his master cylinder, which is also installed. So yeah, I'll probably start going through the brakes next as kind of the next big thing now. Wiring's basically done. Front suspension will be done, you know, probably in the morning. And then again, I'll get more serious on the brakes as kind of the next item to work on here. And then after that, it'll be time to start hooking up the fuel system and fire this puppy up. So that should be fun. Be anxious to get this thing running and driving. Such a gorgeous car. Still need to address the gas tank. Gotta just send the my client an email, see what he wants to do with this, hoping he wants to do something with it because it is super weird looking. So I think that is it, guys. So thank you again, as always, for watching, and your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and so on. Appreciate it. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.